Articles can be divided into two basic types, scholarly and popular. Each type matches up with a particular audience, which gives it its name. Scholarly articles are written by and for scholars, such as professors, doctors, scientists, or graduate students. Popular articles are written by journalists and intended for the populace, a general audience. Professors will often require you to use a specific number of sources in your research project, so it's kind of important to recognize them so you don't turn in the wrong thing. Like telling the difference between an alligator and the mysterious and elusive Florida skunk ape. Details matter, so let's go over the two types and their characteristics, starting with popular articles. Popular articles come in a bunch of flavors. They can be articles in newspapers and magazines, either print or online. They can be blog entries, reviews, or almost anything you read on websites or social media. What unites them is that they're produced for a general audience and that they exist to entertain and inform. They're easy to read and short. Because they're so short, they have simple structures. From the perspective of a college student doing research for a project, popular articles are mostly useful if you need information about non-academic topics, like celebrity gossip or the performance of professional athletes and their teams. Go sports ball! But they're most useful for current events because they can be written and published quickly. That speed isn't entirely a blessing, though, since quick work can and does lead to mistakes. And they might only get checked by an editor. That person does their best, but errors, poor writing, and misleading language can all slip through. And because popular articles almost never cite their sources, it's tough to verify the information they contain. Now on to scholarly articles, which are written by and for scholars. That usually means someone with a PhD who works at a university, but it can be anyone who does original research, like a doctor or a scientist. The purpose of scholarly articles is to share new academic knowledge, like an interpretation of a poem, a mathematical proof, or the results of an empirical study. That's complicated stuff, so scholarly articles are full of long sentences and specialized terminology called academic jargon. And it usually starts in their titles, which tend to be long and extremely specific. Here's an example. Transcriptome-wide expression variation associated with environmental plasticity and mating success in Cactophilic Drosophila mohavensis. Phew. And yes, that's all English. The people who wrote this article assumed that the people reading it will be experts in genetic analysis, so they used lots of jargon, which lets them cram more meaning into less space. Even so, they're dealing with complex topics, so scholarly articles are usually long and divided into multiple sections, with headings like Abstract, Introduction, Literature Review, Methodology, Results, Discussion, Limitations, Conclusions, and References. From the perspective of a college student doing research for a project, scholarly articles are your best source for academic research. They take months or years to write and publish, so they won't be as current as what popular sources can offer, but the extra time goes into making the information they contain much, much more reliable. In fact, scholarly articles contain the most reliable information available to humanity because every article has to go through a rigorous review process before it gets published. And remember, if you're ever in doubt about whether an article is popular or scholarly, you can always ask a librarian. FSCJ librarians are crazy good at figuring this stuff out, and they really like helping students.